Hello everybody, welcome back to Mario Tennis Aces. In this part we continue our adventures in the snowy region of snow. And now we're able to take the train because we got those rascally Shy Guys off of it or something, whatever. I think this is probably I think I've said something about, like, something's my favorite gimmick, like, 3 times, or whatever. But one of my favorite gimmicks is the train station here, because there will be people coming out of the train, and you have to dodge them as they're walking through the tennis court, like assholes. So, it reminds me of real life, where you're in the middle of something, and then people will, try to, like, interact with, like, will push through the middle of your game, basically, like dicks. This is, like, the only one that kind of comes close to being what I would really like from a Mario sports gimmick, where it's just like, okay, these assholes are in the way of it, get out of the way, that kind of thing. It's just the only one that's really like that, so, yeah. Also, the detail in the background details in this area is good. Like, I just noticed that there's one of those, an igloo in the back that's shaped like a Boo's face, which I only just noticed right now. Like, you can't see it until the camera changes its angle, but, I appreciate it. Damn it. Okay, then.
Sorry, I'm blanking on something that I wanted to say about this part of the game. There's the Boo Igloo. Oh, yeah. Now I remember what I was gonna say. The section on the train and just generally the progression of the story mode are things that I like, because even though it's structured like, your standard ass Mario world map screen where you just scroll from level to level, I like that.
Oh, you missed.
Yeah, that didn't work out.
I was expecting it to not get hit, so I did a jump when the ball could have
just went right to you and you just stayed still.
It's like, oh no, I'm about to score a point. I better get away from the ball real fast. But what was I going to say? The way the world map is structured, even though it's functionally the same as Mario level select, like Mario 3 or Galaxy 2 or whatever, the progression from level to level is like a journey across this adventure. There's a reason that you're going to every place in sequence, and that in itself kind of tells a little bit of the story, which I think helps the single player story campaign more than a lot of people would probably consciously give it credit for.
No, I agree, because, it's like one of those things where, okay, we need to go to the next one. We go through the forest. Okay, so where's the next one? It's in a haunted house. How are we supposed to get there? Oh, you have to go across the ocean, and in order to get on the ship, you have to play a game of tennis. Same sort of thing. Like, the next one's up the mountain. How are we going to get up there? We have to help the guy get on the train and that sort of thing.
It's like, if you are a really skilled writer and very, very good at tonal balancing, you could legitimately write a Lord of the Rings style quest novel about this.
Yeah, probably.
I'm just more surprised that there's a functioning rail system on the island of magical tennis.
Maybe the wheels on the train are actually tennis rackets, or the engine, instead of using gas, it's just 2 really, really tiny Mario enemies playing tennis and using the kinetic energy of the ball in order to power the train.
A tennis-powered hamster wheel? That's kind of like going to the bottom of the ship in Final Fantasy X and finding an actual chocobo on a hamster wheel. That was
Wait,
something.
is that actually how the ship is powered?
Yeah, it's chocobo power. It's Final Fantasy X was a strange game.
Okay.
Well, they can't. Yep. They're in a universe where they can't use machina or machines, so they found ways to cheat and use non-machine machines, which isn't how machines work. Japan, come on, you guys are all sciencey. You should know this.
Is that because of, like, you Yevon and shit?
Yeah, it's part of their religion. But the boat is powered by chocobo wheels. It's interesting.
Okay. So, yeah, but you're right in that the game does kind of feel like a little adventure, as silly as it is. And on top of that, one thing that I do appreciate is that the locales in this area have a look that's distinct to them and does not just fall into the traditional Mario aesthetic, which, has been a big problem, especially in the mid 2010s, like early through
Yeah, I
mid-2010s.
sort of get you. There's the desert area, which is Egyptian, of course, because every desert area has to be fucking Egyptian. It's not like other parts of the world have fucking deserts. Jesus. But, the snowy area has this whole sort of semi-festive train station vibe, which is nifty. It makes you think of Christmas without explicitly necessarily being a Christmas level.
And even
Then
something like the forest, where the forest in Mario, instead of starting off with your traditional green Mario area, it's like a kind of a dark and semi-ominous forest. Which you don't
and
see
they use
super
that
often
as an
in
excuse to
Mario.
bring in Donkey Kong as well, which
Yeah.
makes it feel more jungle than forest.
Yeah, but without like feeling like the jungle level in New Super Mario Brothers either.
Yeah.
I appreciate it because one of the things about Mario in the 2000s and in the 2000s and more and slightly nowadays too is that Mario tended to be more open and creative with its level tropes and whatnot, and then in the early 2010s they just dropped that entirely because New Super Mario sold like 20 billion copies, and so
Just do the same thing over and over.
yeah, basically. Like, that's one of my biggest issues about Super Mario 3D World. Like, 3D Land, has this problem, but a lot of people, I feel, give 3D World maybe... Okay, I'm not going to say people, because that implies that... I don't want to speak for others, but there's a lot of the time I see a lot of praise for Super Mario 3D World having a lot of creativity, and, like, maybe specific level gimmicks might be kind of clever, but... aesthetically, I find that game to be just as dull as all of the new Super Marios or 3D Land.
Yeah, I kind of somewhat give 3D World a pass because it and 3D Land were kind of an interesting experiment for me to experience because I kind of always wondered what traditional 2D Mario gameplay would have felt like if it were faithfully recreated in 3D, and that was an itch that wasn't scratched until 3D Land and 3D World came out, and I didn't play 3D Land because about me and portable systems, I just don't mix with them. So I enjoyed 3D World for that. But at the same time, it's not something that I want to see repeated,
Yeah. I mean, granted, there's a good 70% chance that they port it to the Switch at this point.
Oh yeah,
And
well,
if-
Possibly.
that's fine. I have my Wii U, but it's nice to have things on fewer systems so that I don't have to swap my wires around every 20 minutes.
It's also not something I want to pay $60 again for. Like,
Yeah.
I honestly, I regret buying New Super Mario Brothers U Deluxe. Like, I really do.
Oh, I got it purely just so we could record it at MomoCon.
Yeah, but I mean, granted, like, I was super happy to find out that there was a way to fix the control issue because, like, everybody agreed that making the A button in midair do the spin was dumb. But there was just always a way to turn that off in the game, but it was just a super obscure cheat code that nobody figured out until like a month after the game came out, which was really weird. But like I went back and played a couple of levels after I figured that out, and the game was 10 times more enjoyable after that thing. But generally speaking, that's the kind of game I want to pay $20 for, not 60. So.
Yeah. Especially if it's just a port with basically nothing added.
Question.
Yeah.
The train, when you go back down the world map, does it go in reverse?
I don't know.
Someone in the comments should tell us.
Because it's not like I mean, theoretically, like the real life trains have like a little part where they can turn around, or well, if they're trains styled like that, I should say, like most modern subway trains, I think effectively go in reverse, but there's no front to that kind of subway train.
Yeah, the trains go back and forth, and there's a front on each end, so the driver is just on whichever end is currently the front. But
this is like a Hogwarts-ass train, so there's like an actual front to it.
And that's all regulated with train schedules and stuff. But this is a single track.
Yeah,
There's
it
no,
only
like-
goes up the mountain, and if you want to get back down, you're screwed, pretty much.
I mean, train systems, if there's only one track, they'll generally go in a circle. So the schedule is you're going around, and whenever the train works its way back to where you are, is when you get there. But most other systems would have 2 tracks, 2 lanes, one going in each direction.
If I remember correctly, I think after the snowy area, the train then dropped. No, wait, no, God, I can't remember. I think you actually, are dropped off the mountain or something like that, so you don't have to, because the way that the world map's set up, it kind of branches off at certain points. So I believe you're dropped down the mountain so that you can head forward without having to backtrack on the world map. If I remember.
What do the Bowsers do?
If you hit them, then if you hit the ball on a Bowser, and then it will come back to you as the kind of ball that will do damage to your racket, pretty much.
Oh, I see.
But if you hit the panel in front of it, then
you don't have to worry about it.
You don't have to worry about it, basically.
Yeah.
So it's basically just a more dangerous one. But then again, you can also block the Bowser shots and get more meter as well. I mean, granted, it's a fun enough minigame. It's just there's very minor variations on it until the very end.
Right, makes sense.
You also probably will occasionally notice some discrepancies with the experience bar. I cut out any failed attempts at any of these missions, which up until this point of the game, the game's got a pretty steady difficulty curve, I would say. It gradually gets harder at the pace you would expect. We're not going to see it this part, but after the snowy area, there's a huge difficulty spike. And I don't know if they toned that down in a later update or what, but it's kind of obnoxious, actually, all things considered. So anyway, this is kind of the most WTF boss for me, because they bring back iRock from Mario 64, who I thought who I thought would stay permanently lost to obscurity. It's just nobody cares about the bosses in Super Mario 64, at all.
Well, I mean, people like King Babam, but that's about it.
Yeah, King Babam, I think, is really, and I suppose there's some nostalgia for the Bowser fight too, but iRock or I can't even remember another boss in Mario.
King, I guess, but you only remember that because you can cheese him really easily.
Yeah, the bosses are not Mario 64's strong suit, so this is just a really random, I suppose, effective fan service. I'd rather them bring this back than
another Mario 3 thing.
Yeah, Boom Boom, I guess, or whatever. Well, they do bring back Boom Boom. Damn it. So the bosses have health, and they can't really beat you. You just run out of time, and then Mario decides to be sad about it, and then you have to start again, which I don't really get. You can run out of health, I will say, because if you run out of all your rackets, you do instantly lose. But there's also the time limit that doesn't make
any sense.
When you take damage, you lose time. Is the thing.
Yeah.
And I don't just mean because your recovering animation wastes time. I mean the time actually decreases by a certain amount every time you get hit.
Yeah, I lost 10
yeah.
seconds. But your rackets can also take damage too, which is also fairly common. So if you run out of rackets and you get game over by that way, it makes sense in the rules of the universe. Again, Mario could just punch these guys, but we're pretending that option doesn't exist for us at this point, So, but just the artificial time limit doesn't really make as much sense, especially considering that tennis is a game that can literally go on forever. I don't know.
Yeah, what was it? One game went for 3 days or something.
Hold on, we have the power of technology.
Now you're making this sound like Quidditch, man. Come on.
Well, no, it can literally go on forever because of how Deuce works. In total, the match took 11 hours, 5 minutes of play over 3 days, with the final score of 6-4, 3-6, 6-7, 7-6.
I'm assuming
for a total of 183 games of tennis. Jesus Christ!
I'm assuming that's including time for the players to sleep.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, they obviously took time off.
Yeah, but the longest match took 11 hours, which still, because the way that, for people who are not familiar with the way that tennis works, is that in order to win a set in tennis, you have to win by a certain number of games. And the game, you win a game by getting to past 40 points first. So,
or effectively getting 5 points.
Yeah, because tennis has the stupidest scoring system. You go 15 to 30 to 40, and then you win. It's like, okay, nobody knows how to do math in this game, whatever. But, if you're at a tie at 40 points, you basically go whoever wins 2 points in a row first wins the game. And it's the same way for games in a set, where usually it's like the first to 5 games wins the set, but you also have to win by 2 games, so you can be at this tiebreaker for hours and hours and hours, and that's why they'll have tennis
potentially
on
forever. Yeah,
they'll have tennis on for like all day in the summer and stuff like that. It's really not that different from Quidditch. Like, if I remember my offhand Harry Potter comments, like the longest game of Quidditch took like a month or something.
It's because in Quidditch no one the game doesn't end until the snitch is caught. But if the snitch is never caught, then the game never ends.
Yeah.
I mean, realistically, baseball could never end, but the likelihood of that happening is very unlikely.
Like because they've had games go for, I think there was a game relatively recently that went to something like 18 innings or something ridiculous.
Yeah, there's usually one game every baseball season that gets ridiculous, like 17, 18 innings, but those are like one a season, and
okay.
I mean, the longest one I think was like in the minors, in like the minors at some point, that was like almost 30 innings or something.
So Google tells me that the longest professional baseball game was in 1984, Chicago versus Milwaukee, and it was 33 innings, and it was an 8-hour game. So,
Yikes.
oh wait, no, the longest was 33 innings. The longest in Major League Baseball was 25 innings in 1984. So,
yeah,
still,
I was gonna say there's a big difference between the minor and the Major League one.
Yeah, because that's like what, 25 versus 33? That's like 7 innings, which is almost a full game,
extra
of
game,
baseball.